on your left.
Yep.
Mahomes is on your right. You have your left and your right?
Yep.
All right. Who's more likely to win another Super Bowl next, Peter?
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay, who's more likely to play for a different team?
Play for a different team?
Play for a different team.
This one. I don't know.
Who's more likely to become a head coach or a general manager?
This guy loves football, eats football, sleeps football. The other guy likes eating ketchup and doing other things in the off season.
And baseball. Who's more likely to host Saturday Night Live?
Ooh, this guy again. He's done it already. 2005, musical guest, Beck. I'm an encyclopedia. Let's go.
Stranger on the side of the road. Both of these guys are driving by. Which one is more likely to stop and help?
This guy, again, look, Bruce Arians might as well have been a straggling strap handler on the side of the road. This guy showed up and got him a Super Bowl ring. Same with all the rest of those guys from Tampa Bay. What Brady did last year, he basically took a bunch of strangers on the side of the road and got them a Lombardi trophy. So I'm going to go with Brady. Brady again. Brady always. Brady forever.
We know who Peter likes.
And now,
even more than Russell Wilson. All right, Sean, are you ready?
Now TikTok, I'm out.
Yeah. This is the first for me. I mean, last time I did anything with TikTok, I think it was the TikTok diner at 2 a.m.
Okay. All right, Sean, we'll make it easy for you. It's your favorite position on the planet, running back. Dalvin Cook is on your left.
Oh.
And the very large Derrick Henry is on your right. All right, let's go. Who's more likely to win the rushing title next year?
I'm going to go with D. Henry.
Okay.
Running back.
Who's more likely to play in the Super Bowl first?
Ooh, okay. Give me Derrick Henry.
Who's
Left
more likely
side,
to have
strong side.
Who's more likely to have the better touchdown celebration in 2021?
Oh, man. I mean, he's the best cook in the kitchen right here, Dalvin. D. Henry, I don't think he does a lot of dancing. He just runs people over. So give me Dalvin Cook.
Okay, on that same note, Sean, who's more likely to make a viral video?
Dalvin Cook.
And which one do you think is more likely to try his hand at stand-up comedy? All right, not bad. Not bad. Nate, you ready to go?
Both? What's not bad?
I don't see D. Henry doing a lot of stand-up.
No. All right, Nate, your turn. Here you go. Let's see if you can be any better at this one. We've got some toe drag swag guys for you. DeAndre Hopkins on your left. Stephon Diggs is on your right. Who is more likely to have the most impressive catch in 2021?
I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs because I feel like he's going to have more opportunities given the fact that he led the NFL in yards and catches. So when you have more opportunities, you have more chances.
Okay, that's fair. Well, who's more likely to have a last-second game-winning play this coming fall?
I gotta go with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, we all saw the Hail Murray. There was 3 dudes surrounding this guy. He went up and snagged it with those big old mitts.
Who's more likely to win the press conference?
Oh, of course, it's this guy right here, man. I mean, Stephon Diggs, this dude is the funniest guy when the microphone's in front of him, and he's quite entertaining. You might want to follow him on social media.
Okay, Nate, I've heard you sing. Who's more likely to sing a duet with you in karaoke?
I don't think DeAndre Hopkins really likes talking a lot. I'm not saying he's a mute or anything, so I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. I feel like he wants to do all of it. He wants to do anything that comes with the entertainment package.
Okay, last one. Who's more likely to star in movies after they retire?
I'm going with DeAndre. DeAndre has this, like, like cold steel to him. You know what I mean? Like it's a serious drama with just a hint of comedy. I feel like he actually is going to go into acting. He's a model right now. I don't know if you guys know that. He's represented by one of the biggest modeling firms in the world. So I'm going with D-Hop. But you can't lose with either guy. All right, Aditi, let me put you on the spot, though. Let's flip the script. Give me Aditi. Okay, so Aditi,
I can't wait for TikTok Aditi.
We're going to give you 2 veteran coaches of the AFC North. Let's go with Mike Tomlin, who you're very, very familiar with, on your left, and John Harbaugh on your right. Are you ready? Okay.
You know that I cover these guys, right? So, like, I could have wrong answers.
I know.
I feel the blood.
I know. So, Aditi, the more disrespectful, the better. Okay, so here we go. Who's more likely to coach in a Super Bowl again?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go with wrong way. Sorry, I don't know my right from my I'm gonna have to go with
did a little pump fake right there.
Yeah. I think that Coach
Who's more
Harbaugh's
likely?
got a little bit more with his quarterback. I don't doubt him, and I'm seeing Coach Harbaugh there.
I like that. You got the youth with Lamar Jackson. That means he has a little bit more of an opportunity. I get it. Okay. Who's more likely to be a head coach for a different team?
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah?
Well,
Why? Why do you say that?
Okay, well, both of these guys are very secure for sure. But I also think that it's more likely that Mike Tomlin, after 14 years, which is what we're looking at right now, could eventually feel like he wants a new start, and it won't take him long at all to find another job. And I live in Pittsburgh, and there's a lot of unrest.
You're right.
Oh?
Yeah, and if he's on the market, he will get snagged up very quickly. Okay, so who's more likely to make you laugh during a press conference?
So easy.
Ooh.
Happens all the time.
Yeah?
He's so goofy, better sense of humor, you know, all of it. For sure.
What? Barack Tomlin doesn't get you with those crazy quotes? All right, who's more likely to win a trivia contest?
That one is so hard. We know that Mike
It's basically saying who's smarter.
Exceptional SAT vocabulary, but I just feel like John Harbaugh reads a little bit more, I think. Maybe. I'm gonna go with Harbaugh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Mike Tomlin, he does have a little bit of that Don King in him when it comes to the vocabulary. All right, so who's more likely to be mentioned in a rap song?
Well, that one's got to be Tomlin for 2 reasons. 1, because Snoop Dogg is a Steelers fan, and 2, because if John Harbaugh were mentioned in a rap song, he wouldn't even know it. When Mike Jones came up this year, he asked, "Does that sound like Tom Petty? Does Mike Jones sound like Tom Petty?" That was his answer.
Yes.
Yeah, if it ain't Kenny Chesney, then...
With the news. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Aditi. Great having you on the program. You feeling settled in? You feeling like everything is good? The guys are treating you all right?
I'm drinking a lot of coffee. And yes, the guys are great, as always.
Love the mug.
Well caffeinated, that is the key. Yes, the mug is awesome. The mug game is on point, as we like to say. Also on point has been all the discussions throughout the show about Russell Wilson. Of course, some Seahawks fans are sleepless in Seattle, if you will, at the thought of Wilson going to another team following the report from The Athletic that essentially detailed the tension that has emerged between Russell Wilson and the coaching staff there. Now, there's this from NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reporting. More than 10 teams have called the Seahawks to inquire about Mr. Unlimited's availability. Ian adding, Wilson has not requested a trade, but if he were to, teams including the Saints and Bears would be of interest to Wilson, so stay tuned to that one. We'll also have to stay tuned to find out about the future of Chris Godwin in Tampa. The wide receiver, one of several key Buccaneer players set to hit the free agent market. Godwin will have to weigh possibly cashing in with the new team or going for the repeat with the Bucs. Tampa also has the option of using the franchise tag on Godwin, which he told NFL Total Access Thursday he wouldn't rule that out.
The way I look at it, you know, similar to like a lot of guys, you know, obviously we all want to have, you know, long-term security, you know, we all want to be able to take care of the people that we love. So like that's the ideal situation. But a franchise tag is not something that I can control. So if that's what keeps me here, then that's what it is. And I'll play on it and go back to war with my guys. Like I said, I love it here in Tampa. I love what we have building. And I would love to stay.
A lot of free agents in Tampa, but love the lighting in his kitchen. Colts wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, also a pending free agent. Both Hilton and the Colts have shown interest in his return to Indy if they can agree on the numbers. Head coach Frank Reich telling reporters Thursday, quote, "I think we're all hopeful and optimistic that T.Y. can end his career as a Colt." T.Y. has spent his entire 9-year career with Indianapolis. He is currently third on the franchise's all-time receiving yards list behind Reggie Wayne and Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison. So we'll see, Aditi, if Carson Wentz is going to have T.Y. Hilton in the fold in Indy.
Well, we certainly will, and we thank you very much. We'll see you next hour, and we expect to see the mug that you are bringing to the table when you come back, all right?
Ooh, okay.
Not the mean mug.
Okay. All right. So as Will just said, the Colts are indeed hoping to bring T.Y. Hilton back, and they have indeed found their quarterback in Carson Wentz. Now, officially, head coach Frank Reich was not allowed to talk about him yesterday. He can't do that until the league year starts, but he did speak about what his expectations are for the quarterback position.
We do believe like we have the right roster, we have the right culture, and getting good quarterback play is something that is necessary to win a world championship. And obviously here in this organization, the standard has been set, and I feel like we've gotten good quarterback play in recent years in our 3 years here as well. So we need to continue to have that kind of play and even continue to improve upon that kind of play for us to win a world championship.
Guys, we all remember how special of a season Frank Reich and Carson Wentz had together in 2017. And so on that, I ask you, do you think that these two guys can rekindle this magic?
Yeah, I'll jump in here first. I got to see what kind of mental state Carson Wentz is in, and not mental state as in like, I'm talking about confidence and ability to overcome, because what he just went through over the past 12 months, and specifically the last 2 months in Philadelphia, could really shatter someone who doesn't have a strong inner strength and someone with a strong mental upside to say, hey, you know what, upstairs, above the shoulders, I got this. I know I'm good enough. Carson Wentz had arguably the worst season of any quarterback we've seen in the last few years last year. And not only did the team put their faith in him with the contract a year ago, on January 4th, Howie Roseman said that this is our guy and Carson's our guy, and I can't imagine by the end of the month, not only was Doug Peterson fired, but Carson Wentz was essentially traded 5 weeks later for 60 cents on the dollar. When everyone in your employers are telling you you're not good and it's on you and we're going to be better off without you, how do you bounce back from that? Now, look, I know it's very easy to say, well, $100 million and a coach and all this. And look, these guys are strong, prideful, confident young men. And I have to think the self-esteem and the ego of Carson Wentz was just torn to shreds. And guess what? The Philly guys, on the way out, I saw enough stories bashing Carson Wentz through media reports about whether he was nice enough to Jalen Hurts, whether he handled that well enough, whether he and Doug Peterson had a relationship. That doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from people trying to cover their own tracks and say, trust us, Carson Wentz, it was time to move on. Carson Wentz just got put through the ringer over the past year. I'm very curious to see how he can build himself up and whether Frank Reich can lift him from those trenches. Because I'll tell you what, it has not been easy for Carson Wentz. He got beat up physically. He also got beat up mentally and emotionally. Is he strong enough to overcome and say, no, you know what? They were wrong. I'm the guy.
Yeah, interesting points you're bringing up, Shregs, and it just kind of takes me back to something Carson had said prior to all of these transgressions. He's like, look, this is what comes with being a franchise quarterback, and this is what comes with the contract that I signed. So I think mentally, I think it's going to be refreshing for him. And while it was probably tough to sit there and watch the Eagles draft a quarterback, that you're kind of saying, all right, what is going on right now? And I think there was a little bit of an inclination that, you know what, this might end up be my last year, even though publicly we didn't know that until the end of the season. I think Carson understood it, but I also think when I look back at this past season, like you said, Carson, forget about the mental side of it. Physically, he was just abused. And, you know, I think that I've said it before about PTSD, post-traumatic sack disorder. Carson Wentz did not trust the pocket, and rightfully so. He was introducing himself to offensive linemen in the huddle, and they were constantly rotating guys. So this is going to be a totally different landscape for him. The Eagles' offense under Frank Reich, last time they were together in Philly, guess what they did a great job of? Yeah, I know everybody talked about the MVP season Carson Wentz was having, and he threw 33 touchdowns. But, Schrager, you know what they were number one in the league that year in? Runs over 10 yards. They had one of the best and most explosive run games in the league that year, and that's what catapulted them into the playoffs and then eventually going on to win the Super Bowl. So now you look at Carson Wentz. He's coming to the Colts. They've got to figure out their left tackle position because Anthony Costanzo just retired. There's some rumors that Big Q might slide from left guard to left tackle, but that is a physical front. Ryan Kelly, the center, Braden Smith and Glowinski. You've got some studs up front for Carson Wentz, and Jonathan Taylor burst onto the scene last year. So this offensive unit, when Carson Wentz steps into this huddle, it's going to look completely different, and it's going to be much more functional.
Well, Sean, as you say, I mean, we saw what Baker Mayfield did when he could actually trust his offensive line. So that's obviously key. And sometimes you just need to know that somebody believes in you. And clearly, Reich does. So maybe that's the thing that flips it. Rams head coach Sean McVay was asked about the trade, and he had quite a few things to say about Jared Goff.
When you look back on the 4 years that we did have together, there's a lot of times you can smile on. And I would say there's a lot of things that, you know, when I self-reflect, I certainly wish I was better for him in some instances. And those are things that I think you have to acknowledge, move forward, and make sure that you learn from every mistake that you make. And certainly I'm not going to run away from the things that I could have been better for him as a leader and as a coach. But we have had good conversations that were healthy, and I think we were able to both communicate open and honestly with one another. But those details I'd prefer to keep between us.
Guys, look, we all get that this is a business, but Jared Goff led the Rams to a Super Bowl. He won a couple conference titles. He won one conference championship, 2 division titles. It just feels like it was awfully quick that he got traded. So, I mean, Peter, you start us off here. Did the Rams do Goff dirty?
You know, I think the biggest compliment you can give a quarterback or an NFL player is that they played valiantly and they're tough. And I know we love the superstars and the highlights, but the one thing that no one can say is that Jared Goff isn't tough. He played in a playoff game in Seattle, coming off the bench for John Wolford, and did it a week after getting thumb surgery on his throwing hand and beat Russell Wilson in Seattle. Then the following week, with everyone thinking Wolford might still come back from the neck injury, was thrown into the fire again and went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. I think the bottom line is this: the Rams felt that Matthew Stafford is an upgrade from Jared Goff, and that's where this is. It is a business, Aditi, but that doesn't take away anything from his accomplishments as an LA Ram. And if anything, it should only be fuel to his fire that he can prove everyone wrong and prove them wrong. He goes to Detroit. He still makes his very, very good NFL salary, and he will always have those memories, including this playoff run, which I think is very important in the legacy of Jared Goff with the Rams. It wasn't just the Super Bowl season. It was also this one, with 9 fingers going up there and beating Russell Wilson in his building. I think Jared Goff was a very good Los Angeles Ram.
Look, there's no way to sugarcoat this. Jared Goff got dumped, you know, and look, we've all had friends that got dumped, and you try to console them and say, hey, man, it's not you, it was them. Good luck with that, because, you know, look, when you look at what the Rams traded, it wasn't just like, oh, man, hey, you know what, they traded you because they were going to get a lot for you. No, they had to package Goff with 2 first-round picks. in 22 and 23. So, look, this business is cold-blooded. But if you're Jared Goff, you look at it and say, man, like it wasn't even like an even swap, and you got a quarterback that's older than me. So, yeah, he got slighted. He got dumped. I'm sure he's not going to be sending a Christmas card to Sean McVay no matter what Sean says.
All right, for more on this, guys, let's check out the Total Access Locker Room podcast. Hoping to get our co-host Nate Burleson back. His internet is not cooperating with us, but thank goodness Sean O'Hara and Peter Schrager have paid their bills. Guys.
Morning, Aditi. You're doing a great job rolling with the punches. I don't know if anybody told you, but every hour you're going to lose a host. So the third hour, you're doing all by yourself.
All right. Already. All right, guys. I'm new at this. You are not. It is time for the lead block.
Lead block.
Let's go.
It appears there is some frustration brewing in Seattle between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. So for the latest on that, Michigas, let's go to our very own NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport.
Aditi, we have known that there's a rift between the Seattle Seahawks and star quarterback Russell Wilson for some time. It was clear the way their season ended, the way the offense sputtered down the stretch and in the playoffs, that something was not right. It just maybe wasn't clear entirely until the Athletic article yesterday detailed how much work needs to be done to repair this relationship between Seattle and their star quarterback, Russell Wilson. The fact that he went public with his frustration, the fact that he does not want to be hit, the fact that he wants input, significant input in personnel decisions and coaching decisions, as he did, by the way, in the choice of offensive coordinator, that just goes to show you where they are at. So let's answer the question. Is a trade realistic? My understanding right now does not seem very realistic. Is Seattle really willing to take a $40+ million cap hit for a team that is ready to contend? I have a hard time seeing that. Plus, if you're Pete Carroll, you're 70 years old, do you really want to rebuild? That said, teams are calling. More than 10 teams, from my understanding, are calling Seattle. It's not like they're engaging, but teams are calling. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson has not asked for a trade, but has made it known to the team that if he was going to get traded, it would only be to a couple places, including Chicago and New Orleans. Aditi?
Thank you, Ian. All right, Sean Peter, you just heard that. More than 10 teams have inquired about trading for Russell Wilson. So, Sean, you start us off. Who do you think should be most aggressive in going after Wilson?
Yeah, Didi, listen, put me in the camp that GM's calling about a player and just picking the brain. That to me, that's like driving by a dealership and pulling in to get a look at a car real quick that you thought looked cool as you're driving by. You don't go in the dealership. You're not looking at financing. You're not running your credit report. You just saw a car. I was like, man, that looks kind of cool. Let me go look at that. So I don't put any stock in GMs calling Seattle and Seattle saying, hey, all right, we're willing to listen. But if there is a small chance that you could pry Russell Wilson from the city of Seattle, which I don't think happens, if I'm Joe Douglas and the New York Jets, maybe I just call up the Seattle Seahawks and say, hey, do you want your 2 first-round picks back that we just got for Jamal Adams? I'm willing to give you back your first-round picks if you want to give me a quarterback, and we'll figure out some other currency in exchange. Because if you're the New York Jets right now and you're trying to build this franchise and build it for the long haul, I mean, bringing Russell Wilson, I mean, immediately, I think the Jets would be contenders in the division. All of a sudden, the Jets have a totally different bag and a totally different culture by bringing in one guy, and his name is Dangerous. So, look, the New York market would certainly eat it up. I know for the Walter Payton Man of the Year, for Russell Wilson, all the good stuff that he's done out in Seattle, man, I think it would just get magnified in New York.
It's intoxicating. And if you're a Jets fan listening to this, you perk up, because all you're thinking about right now is Zach Wilson or some crazy chance he hit Deshaun Watson. You trinkle in a Russell Wilson thought. It's fascinating. Now, look, to be honest, it's not going to just take 2 first-round picks. It would require Quinnen Williams. It would probably require Denzel Mims. You might have to give up a lot more than just 2 first-round picks to get Russell Wilson. I look at another team that I think might have to trade the farm, and it would be worth it at this stage and where they are as a franchise. I think it's the Chicago Bears. I mean it. Matt Nagy is a go hard or go home guy, and if this is not a quarterback situation that they know what's going on right now, why not just give everything for Russell Wilson? It sounds imprudent, but Ryan Pace is coming back. Matt Nagy's coming back. The only quarterback under contract right now is Nick Foles. I would suggest you not only trade draft picks, you offer Khalil Mack, you offer Akeem Hicks. What else do you want? Do you want Allen Robinson? We'll franchise tag Allen Robinson. You take Allen Robinson. The Chicago Bears are a very strong team. They are a quarterback away from being an excellent team. You take Russell Wilson with his championship pedigree, you put him with that Chicago Bears roster. Now I know, I'm saying trade Khalil Mack, trade Akeem Hicks, well, what's left? Roquan Smith, still very good. Eddie Jackson, still very good. David Montgomery, under contract, still very good. And I like the young receiver, Mooney, number 11, who showed some things last year, and Anthony Miller can still have a breakout season with Russell Wilson. Look, if I'm the Bears, Trubisky was, for 4 years, the guy. It's great, did its thing, it was okay. We're moving on. Now is the time to swing and to swing big. If there's even a window, even a chance, Ryan Pace can make all of the criticism of him taking Trubisky over Watson and Mahomes back in that 2017 draft go away. He would be a hero of the day, and I think the team would be better for it. Hey, Bears, if you're listening to me, this goes to Nagy, this goes to Ryan Pace, and this goes to the McCaskey family. Swing and swing big. This is the time. You only live once. Go get Russell Wilson, whatever it takes.
Peter, you certainly are putting your lawyer hat on today. I feel like there's a compelling argument in every block of the show that you're making. But here, Sean, to your point about the 10 teams and the kicking the tires, I'm with you on that one. And what I can say here is that our expert on all things Dallas, Jane Slater, has told us that even though the Cowboys are allegedly one of those 10 teams, that's not happening. So we know Russell Wilson is
that a little bit, and look how many defenders are in that area. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he's seeing the fact that he can get that ball to the sideline in between multiple defenders and still make a beautiful throw. And here he is once again, a little play fake to the running back and then up over the top. And these are the type of throws he's going to have to make in the league. When you have guys with 4.3, maybe even 4.2 speed running those big posts, they say hit a guy in stride. This is exactly that. As a wide receiver, this is beautiful. All I have to do is keep running and hope I don't hit my head on the goalpost. But here it is. This is the other element, the duality, if you will, of Trevor Lawrence. He has the arm, he has the frame, but he also has the speed and athletic ability. And now with these offenses that are running these RPOs and giving quarterbacks opportunities to make decisions with balls in there. Look at this. He's 6'5", almost 6'6", and the record speaks for itself. And I know they're talking about the comparisons and him breaking Deshaun Watson's record while he was at Clemson, but he is just a fantastic talent. It's rare where a guy can come in and have all the hype in the world, but then match it on film. Now, with all that said, there's a lot of work to be done. Not only with his new head coach that is possibly going to be Jacksonville, but he's also going to have to mesh with wide receivers and running backs and offensive line that's going to need to protect him. I'll give you a quick example. We all love that Joe Burrow was fantastic talent coming out of LSU. We saw him get beat up a lot this season. So the work is yet to be put in at the professional level. What we do know, we are getting a professional talent at the quarterback position once he is drafted. Peter Schrager, who you got, man?
Yeah, look, Trevor Lawrence has been the #1 prospect for 3 years now, but the #2 prospect at the quarterback position in this draft is a bit of an unknown, and the early returns are in. And if you judge some of the draft pundits, sounds like Zach Wilson out of BYU is expected to be the 2nd quarterback taken in this draft. We know about Trevor Lawrence. Let's get to know Zach Wilson a little bit, someone you might not know about. He started 7 games 2 years ago, then went the full slate this year. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. And I'm going to go right to the bowl game here where everyone was watching. and Zach Wilson put on a show. Look at the touch. It's a great catch, sure, that you see on that one. But the fact that he can make this throw across his body and drop it into a place where only his receiver can is special. The very next play in this bowl game, play action, Wilson steps up and fires an absolute rope. Look at that pass right there. It is an absolute rope. It is beautiful. And this was on national TV in the Baton Rouge Bowl and the Bacon Raton Bowl. The Boca Raton, I don't even know what bowl it was. Sorry here. Here's Wilson rolling right here, throws it off one leg, incredible escapability, and releases the ball with both feet off the ground and drops it in perfectly to his receiver, who makes the grab and has a solid catch along the sidelines. He can also run. I like his ability to be mobile here. Here's Zach Wilson being pressured, gets out of the pocket. Look at him go. In today's NFL, you need to do this. He jumps over a defender. Number 16 is like, what just happened? And he looks at him over there. 33 pass touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. He broke all of Steve Young's records, especially the completion percentage this past season. Amazing juggler. There's some stuff there. Here's the other part to it. He's got a little something to him, and I don't know what that might mean as far as, well, what Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, I'll say Johnny Manziel even. When these guys walked into a room, people followed. There is a little bit of that, and that might not fly for every team. Zach Wilson has a personality, I assure you that. If there is a knock on Zach Wilson, is that some people say, is he more Manziel than he is Joe Burrow, where the confidence and the swagger ends up eating him alive? I don't know. We shall see. That is for teams to decide. But from pure football standpoint, size, 6'3", 210 pounds, arm, he's got it, mobility, he's got it. Hasn't played in many big games, certainly not the kinds that Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields has. And this one is something that's going to come up too. I call it the draft day stuff. 8 players were captains week 1 for BYU. Their quarterback, Zach Wilson,
intangibles that are the hardest to measure, right? So, like you said, that's why those teams get paid the big bucks. Also, the big bucks are Daniel Jeremiah. Let's check out his mock draft right now. He has Trevor Lawrence going number 1 to the Jags, and your man, Peter, Zach Wilson, number 2 to the Jets. So, Sean, let's start with you. Should these 2 players indeed go first and second? And should they go in that order?
Yeah, Didi, look, Daniel Jeremiah always seems to have his ear to the streets and seems to always find some gems whenever he's doing these mock drafts. I look at Trevor Lawrence like the slam dunk for the number 1 pick. And, you know, look, for him to be playing at Clemson, win a national championship there, and then go play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's a short drive. And you know, look, it's kind of like when Nate goes and buys a new car every month. And, you know, it's like, look, after you buy the car, they throw in the all-weather mats for you for free. And it's like, man, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you're Shad Khan, you're like, man, we get this kid, number 1, and we're going to basically bring his entire fan base with him from Clemson. They could all come to the games. I mean, this is going to immediately improve all of our ticket sales, too. So, not that you're drafting a kid for that, but it's kind of like this all-weather mats that Nate's got in his new ride. It kind of feels good as you're leaving the dealership knowing that that's just an extra perk. So, look, I think that's a slam dunk. At number 2, I'll say this. It's not about Zach Wilson. It's about, for the Jets, they've got so many directions they can go because they have so many needs. So I don't know if Zach is an upgrade from Sam Darnold. And I think it's great that if you're the Jets and you're Joe Douglas right now, you have people believing you're going to take a quarterback. That's just great business. Because if there's somebody else that falls in love with Zach, with that quarterback, and they think for a second that you're going to take him, now all of a sudden you've created currency. You've created a stock market for that pick. I think we can go back to Mitch Trubisky and the 49ers and the Bears and how that whole thing played out, or why they ended up moving up. So I think it's good business right now. The second overall pick to me right now is a unicorn. We have no idea what's going to happen there.
You're spot on, Sean. And hush is the word. You know, if you're the Jets, you're sitting back saying, yeah, we like him. But do you like him too? Because if you fall in love with a certain prospect that we don't want to draft, we can use it as currency. And when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, Schrager, you hit it, man. I mean, for what, a few years now,